Hi, how you guys doing out there in the world? And who knows what year you might see this. If you'll get it right away or it'll hit you later on down the road. Don't know what's going to be happening later on down the road. There's things going on. So, already, I don't know if I've told you, it's September 24th. It's Wednesday. It's about 11 o'clock on the East Coast of America. And I was thinking I should get on here and do something, give you an update of what's going on in Lou's head. I had a rhyme come up, but it wasn't good, so we won't say that. I'm excited. I'm excited to start sewing and creating something out of nothing. It's not really out of nothing. So you take materials and you put it together and make something out of it. Kind of like the earth. Because really that's what it was. You know, the earth was made of stuff. It didn't just appear out of nothing. So who knows what kind of time frames. I don't know how these people think they can figure out how many millions of years something is old. Anyway, I'm just stuck in my old little ways, okay? I believe in God. I believe in the plan of salvation. And with a lot of that comes the knowledge of the fact that we are not alone, people. There are mass quantities. I have no clue how many, lots and lots and lots of worlds that have been created and that still stand at this moment. I read it just the other day. It said some will go away as new ones come. Other ones are passing away. So we be gonna passing away, people. Try to not take that in a bad way, passing away. But it is true. I read that. And it is true. We're at the end of, I think when they're talking about it in the Bible or wherever I've read about it, is like 6,000 years, okay? From Adam and Eve. Yeah. The world was created and Adam and Eve was put on it. I read something really weird once. It said that there were many lands called Earth and many Adams, not just one. And then at one time I was trying to figure out how the heck did they populate this world, with just an Adam and an Eve. But maybe there were a bunch of little Adam and Eves dispersed. It was just a thought. I don't know why he's barking. We have been waiting for a baby to be born. It should be coming like any time. I think she was at 7 centimeters around 7 o'clock this morning. But they induced her. They induced her on Monday. And so she's had to deal with that. Like being in labor. I haven't been there. I don't know how bad it is or anything. She's got her mother and she's got her fella, which is my Tyler, my grandson. So anyway, anxiously awaiting this new person that's going to be in our family. The most valiant spirits were saved for last for this battle. I'm thinking the battle is a righteous battle. Choosing right. Choosing right or wrong, you know, but choosing the right is the thing you want to do. And we don't always know what that is. Sometimes, you know, I've got these lines right here. I don't know if you can see them, but these lines right here. One of them I ran into something that cut me. So it's a little higher. I'm not sure which side. I can't see without my glasses. But I was going to say, where did I put them things? Because I'm going to need them. And then I thought I might try something different. A different pair of glasses. They're kind of wobbly. I need to take them in and get them tightened up. Do the tighten up. They want to fall off my face. But I like the way they look better. I've been trying to figure out how to get rid of the glare and that line. So I've never ever tried contacts, and I've been thinking about, you know, like going to a single vision. And if I go to my single vision and do just one that's out about, you know, then I can drive with the contacts. I just have never had contacts. And Jesse's saying, I don't know if you could stand that. Yeah, these want to just flop off. They're all floppy. Then the other ones have a weird, I know I got off my trail. The other ones have a weird type of bifocal. I'm not supposed to be able to see it, and it's in the middle. But it makes everything blurry, because you've got to get it just to the right spot. At a spot, you can read, but everything else is blurry. But I like the size of them better. But anyway, if I could stand, and I've had cataract surgery, so I don't know if I could do that, if I could have contacts or not. But I could still get rid of that line and just have, every time I've tried to do that and tried to talk to them about it, they talk me out of it. They say, I don't think you're gonna like that, because you have to keep changing your glasses for reading. You read a lot more than you would expect. So, where was I? I was here rambling on, talking about a baby. It's a little girl. They've got her named, but I don't know what her other name is. Her name is Charlotte. They're going to call her Charlie for short. Nickname. Ow. Anyway, it'll be exciting. That's what it was. I was telling you how exciting a new soul is coming down to the family. I know I talk about weird things. And anybody who's a member of the church can have a patriarchal blessing. It's a wonderful thing. I had mine when I was 16. And that was in 1969, actually. And I was talking about valiant spirits being saved for last, that battle. The Bible can be a little misleading, you know, because it can talk in abstract. Well, I've never said that before, and had never really thought that before, but it's true. Because they tell you stories. And sometimes the stories aren't exactly, I mean, there's something for you to grasp onto so you can understand what they are trying to tell you by giving you a visual. I know, gone all over the place. I'm sitting here thinking about Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden. Little tidbits, people. The gate. Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden, okay? And then there were cherubim put, I think that's what they called them, but bad ones, put at the gate. No more entrance into this place is what they're saying. We'll have to look that up. That's what I was going to do, is look up some stuff. But I was thinking about Alma. I wonder if I read that on here before. I want to figure out some interesting things to share with you guys that are in the Book of Mormon. And I was talking about a patriarchal blessing. See, I'm all over the place, but you can have one, and it is a blessing from your Father in heaven through a patriarch for you. And it is a guide. They're going to tell you what tribe you're from. I'm from Ephraim. And they're going to give you a blessing from your Father in heaven. Kind of tell you a little bit about yourself. You might get shocked. I've heard that. Like even my sister. I mean, everybody's not getting the same blessing, people. It's tuned in for you. And mine is quite profound, and I learned a lot of stuff, and I've told you guys about it before. When I said the valiant spirits were saved for last. And how special it is to be born. And how I was thinking in my head what was happening when I was coming to earth. Well, it said in my patriarchal blessing that it was announced. When it was announced that I was leaving for earth, those in authority laid their hands on my head and gave me blessings. Anyway, it's pretty neato, so I won't really go into all that. Because I've done it before. But I know it's way out there where you'll never find it. I have 1,100 some odd videos, and every video is like a scattering of thoughts. It covers a lot of stuff. And I was telling you about the plan of salvation, which lets us know we have lots of worlds out there. And the whole idea of why are you here? What is the deal? Why are you here on this earth? And you really think that you're here for no reason? Some people close to me, my daughter, and I've heard other people say it too. I heard Joe say it. He's trying to get some information on his dad. And he says, he's dead, leave him alone. Genealogy, people. In order to get the temple work done, we have to put pedigree charts together. We have to connect families, okay? So like when someone has died, and if you're a member of the church and you were married to them, I would think you could go ahead and get the work done. I'm not quite sure. Because surely you wouldn't have to die and have someone else do the work for you. You know, because under a lot of what they're doing is they're going back and they're chaining families together. Children and their spouses and the parents of those guys, and then the siblings and all. You can't see my hands. I tried to do this sideways, but then it just drops off my head. I have to get a big old book or something under this deal. So yeah, there was a pre-existence. We were born. Jesus Christ is our brother, but he was the firstborn of our mother and father in heaven. We came from somewhere, people. I mean, it's too much of a miracle, don't you think? All that it takes. Science is the study of, and doctors practice. Okay? And what was my point about that? God is above, is what I was trying to point out. Sometimes science tries to act like they're God. I'm talking about changing sexes. Not supposed to do that. That is my opinion. But see, we came here as the same gender. I was who I was there. And I'm going to be who I am when it's all over with my progression. And I guess it's never over because you're always going to learn. So much to learn. But if you make it, if you graduate and make it into the celestial kingdom and you're given your tiny white stone, then you're going to create a world with that tiny white stone. Now, I figured it out because of different things I read. I can't tell you where they are right now, but it would seem that it wouldn't be in the regular scriptures. I have to grab it before I lose it. God lives on a sea of glass. And it said that he had knowledge come up through that sea of glass. I think about a crystal ball, but a world the size of a crystal. He lives on a sea of glass. And I saw that it said that this earth is going through changes, okay? So when Jesus comes again, my hair just looks weird to me. When Jesus comes again, this earth is going to go through a change. We are going to go through a major change. Those who are still living will be lifted up in the air unless they're not able, because the wicked will be burned as stubble, because that's how his glory is, like a fire. It will just incinerate. I've kind of read that too. Am I making stuff up? I don't think so. But that's the clue, is you don't want to be wicked. And I did read another part that said a wicked person had no part nor portion of good in them. That made me feel a lot better. Because, sometimes we're doing things and, they're not what we're told not to do them. Well, we're told not to do them because we're going to get hurt by doing it. Those 10 commandments were not just don't do this and don't do that. They were warnings. They were trying to protect you. Well, yeah, I heard that the people that came from the pre-existence, that came here before Jesus came, were they needed those 10 commandments. And I made a statement on here I kind of need to take back, but I don't know if I can put it out there well enough to... I forget things so fast. because I travel down these trails real quick. So it's gone. Anyway, I wanted to get on here and tell you guys something cool. In other words, out of the scriptures. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to go find Alma. But then I don't want to really have to go searching. Alma, I'm talking about Alma the Younger. He was out there being a hellion. He was, him and the, okay, you got Alma the Older. You got Alma. We'll just call him Alma. And then he is friends with King Mosiah. Now, we just read about King Mosiah. Okay, well, King Mosiah is righteous. Alma is righteous. But they got some kids. So Alma the Younger, he ain't so cool. I mean, he's not righteous. He's going around causing a lot of trouble. And I'm not sure what that trouble was. I just know it was kind of like, seemed like they said, torturing the saints. Because there's always been that problem, that contention between the believers and the non-believers. So, Alma the Younger was struck down. He was struck down. He was down for the count for 3 days. He couldn't, I don't know if his eyes were open, really. But he was in the gall of bitterness, the gall of the, I'm going into my head, I haven't read it. So I was going to tell you about Alma the Younger. And I might have in the past. But then there was someone else I was going to tell you about. I don't know who that was. These trippy people. And I was telling you about the gate of the Garden of Eden. That's right. It's here in America. And it is over in, I want to say it's in Jackson County, Missouri. I might be wrong. I think that's where the temple's going to be built. And so it might be further up the road a piece, like 30 miles out in the wilderness away from Jackson County or wherever the temple's going to be built. I bet you they already own the land. But somewhere around that area, that neck of the woods, is where the gate to the Garden of Eden is. That's what I was trying to tell you earlier. So I got lost on several little trips, didn't I? And see, the last thing I was reading, I have it here, is Jesus the Christ by James E. Talmage. And I was reading about peace be still, but I don't know how far I got, if I had to stop in the middle of it. And here's quieting the demons. Testimony of a wicked man. The testimony of wicked and unclean spirits to the divinity of Christ as the Son of God is not confined to this instance. We have already considered the case of the demonic in the synagogue at Capernaum. And another instance appeared when Jesus, withdrawing from the towns of Galilee, betook himself to the seashore and was followed by a great multitude comprising Galileans and Judeans and people from Jerusalem and Idumea and from beyond Jordan, i.e. from Perea, and inhabitants of Tyre and Sidon, amongst whom he had healed many of diverse diseases, and those who were in bondage to unclean spirits had fallen down and worshipped him. while the demons cried out, "Thou art the Son of God." In the course of the short journey considered in this chapter, the power of Jesus as master of earth, men, and devils was manifest in miraculous works of the most impressive kind. We cannot classify the Lord's miracles as small or great. No, small and great, nor as easy and difficult of accomplishment. What one may consider the least is to another of profound import. The Lord's word was sufficient in every instance to the wind and the waves, and to the demon-ridden mind of man possessed. He had but to speak and be obeyed. Peace, be still. So then the next one is the raising of the daughters of Jairus. I wonder what that's about. Anyway, that was not the deal. The thing is, I did just read you something good, though. Quieting the demons. And I don't know if I finished Peace Be Still. Introduction, pre-existence. I've already done that. I've read the first 4 chapters, which was the introduction, the pre-existence, and foreordination. I didn't say that right. Foreordination of the Christ. And so then chapter 3 is the need of a Redeemer. Chapter 4, the anti-mortal gossip. I'm not a good reader. The anti-mortal godship of Christ. Not gossip. A little bit on the silly side. Okay. Gabriel's Annunciation of John. I don't know what that means, except for I think he's talking about John. Let me see what it says. John the Forerunner. So they're talking about John the Baptist. Associated with the prophecies of the birth of Christ are predictions concerning one who should precede him, going before to prepare the way. It is not surprising that the annunciation of the immediate advent of the forerunner was speedily followed by that of the Messiah, nor that the proclamations were made by the same heavenly ambassador. Gabriel, sent from the presence of God. So we be talking about Gabriel. About 15 months prior to the Savior's birth, Zacharias, a priest of the Aaronic order, was officiating in the functions of his office in the temple at Jerusalem. His wife, Elizabeth, was also of a priestly family, being numbered among the descendants of Aaron. The couple had never been blessed with children, and at the time of which we speak, they were both well stricken in years and had sorrowfully given up hope of posterity. Zacharias belonged to the course of priests named after Abijah, Abijah, and known in later time as the course of Abibia, Abia. This was the 8th in the order of the 24 courses. Okay, I don't want to read all that stuff. Zacharias. Okay, I'm going to get out of there because it's just too much. I don't know a lot about that. The words of the heavenly visitant, however, were comforting through a startling import, embodying as they did the unqualified assurance that the man's prayers had been heard and that his wife should bear him a son who must be named John. The promise went even further, specifying that the child to be born of Elizabeth would be a blessing to the people. Many would rejoice at his birth. He would be great in the sight of the Lord and must be guarded against wine and strong drink. He would be filled with the Holy Ghost, would be the means of turning many souls to God, and would go before to make ready a people prepared to receive the Messiah. Okay, so I skipped a whole bunch. Well, I do that. Sometimes I go backwards. I was like, okay, what was before that? So is Zacharias the father of John? I don't know, and I don't want to know because it's going to take too much time. So I'm going to head on down the road on that. Yeah, these glasses, I'm not seeing the best even in the glasses, but they stay on my head better. And I was also looking at the glare before. You could see my eyes above this line. But I've got to get that situation fixed. I need to do a lot of things. Yeah, in the early days, or in Jesus's day anyway, they walked from place to place. They had to walk everywhere, or you didn't go anywhere. So I'm trying to say they got exercise. And they got dirty feet. That's why they washed their feet. It was a service to do for someone if you wash their feet like they did for Jesus. And then Jesus did it for all his apostles. He was trying to let them know to serve one another. Love one another as I have loved you. Okay. I don't want to mess with that. So I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm wondering when this baby's coming. I was taking ivermectin. I know that stuff is doing something. Because stuff is still coming out. You could even think of it as dead worms. Well, that sounds gross, don't it? It's like, okay, what is this? Well, you wormed yourself to death. I wormed myself quite a bit. 14 days worth of that liquid. So I don't know how long it's been since I stopped. I quit I think it's going to do some good, as long as I didn't hurt me. Well, it looks like it might have been the 10th of September when I stopped. I'm not sure, because I've got a 4th of September and a slash up to the 10th. August 28th is when I found out my markers were 198 and 202. August 28th, so September 28th. So by the time I go in to see my cancer doctor again, it'll be 2 months. But in the middle of that, I'm going to have a PET scan. But I did 2 weeks straight of that liquid. And before that, I've been doing ivermectin in the paste. They call it a paste, but it's actually a gel. And you know, I did a live, and I'm going to talk about you, David. I did a live, and there was a guy that commented back and forth with me, and it turns out that he's got leukemia. He's 20 years old. And his doctor, he's a Canadian, okay? He lives up in Canada. His doctor up there has got him taking ivermectin. He's got a prescription for it. I didn't get enough information from him as to, like, how strong it was or what the dosing is. But it was exciting to me to learn that. So why isn't America doing that? I mean, I don't know what else they've got him doing. They might have him doing other treatments and just adding that to it. But to me, I had enough information. Except for I did do it too much. So I'm just hoping that it stops. Anyway, it's weird. I wonder what the dog is barking at. I'm wondering if our baby's been born yet. And I've been looking at material. I hope that that woman gets a hold of me and that she has really great stuff. But otherwise, I'm ready to go into business. Manufacturing. I want to do, I've told you already, I know, when I repeat myself all the time, I want to make those little medicine bags. So I was looking at material on Amazon. They've got I don't know if it's what I want. They've actually got a leather. It's $40 a yard. So they've got the real cowhide. But then they've also got a faux leather, a faux suede. And then, I love velvet, right? And they've got all shades of, all different colors of velvet. Maybe not all shades, but all different colors. A lot of colors. And I think that's like $13.99, approximately. Because one was $13.80, but a yard. Now, I don't know if that was 60 inches. The suede was. I ought to look that up. But, they had chocolate. I'm talking about the velvet now, okay? They had chocolate, and they had burgundy, and they had, of course, I want black chocolate. The chocolate just looked really good. And I thought about how rich it looked. The color. I wasn't talking about money. I was talking about just luscious color. And I've got to order that. I was just putting an order together. And there's a jelly roll for $16.99. It's usually $18.99, but still, I've decided I'm not quite sure if I want to do a jelly roll. However, the way she taught it, it would go fast and it would look pretty. So it's real tempting. And then it's the other one, you know, okay, so I wouldn't mind having my I can see why they don't, because you'll get, your edge won't be totally exactly straight. So, but yard to yard, 36 inches, 3 inches leaves no excess. But then it doesn't give you any wiggle room. So anyway, here pretty soon I'll be sewing, people. Years ago I used to. And I know I started to tell that story the other day too. I learned how to sew a quilt. So I've got some of the experience. But she made it just look so easy. But I am going to have room. Jessica was already talking about, she was just dreaming about a little room, making room downstairs, but the drums have gone into that room. But, well, there's a way to use the space. But it just depends if this lady has a lot for me or not. I hope she has stuff that's right up my alley. Quilting, she said she had a lot of quilting fabric, and quilting fabric's usually pretty. So, I mean, good looking stuff. Maybe not always good looking. But I could get carried away. Just making my own jelly rolls. That would work. Because what they do is makes it really easy. Okay, I've seen 2 different things, and I imagine there's more than that. But the one person, you have 40. There's 40 pieces in this jelly roll. 40 times 44 inches. But what she did, I mean, it mixes up the colors, so you have light and dark and patterned and solids. But she took and put likes together. She put things together that would go together, and she would just sew three of those pieces of material she would sew together. So by the time you sew a 1/4 inch seam on both sides, you're having 2 inches left, which that's cool. But I just thought, you know, if you cut it at 3 inches, you wouldn't have any waste, but then you would have a problem. You have to make sure it was totally straight and that you had all of it. You just get more than a yard. But I haven't heard from her yet. And I think she might be back, because I've seen where some other people are getting some stuff from her. There's all kinds of crafts that we could do. Like I saw somebody the other day, they're just showing you how to do things with what you got, you know. And I already bought a whole bunch of stuff a couple of years ago because I was going to make hanging towel things for your oven. You know what I'm trying to say. They make a decorative nice thing, and then you can attach it to the oven door so that you don't have to have it falling on the floor all the time. But here's something that was just showing up in my head. It's still going to hit the floor because you open the oven door. I mean, if you're have a bottom oven, if you open the oven door, then it's going to hit the floor, right? Because it's going to be real close to the floor. Guess a lot of people have ovens higher up in the air. You just don't want to have it over a flame. That's terrible. Okay. But I noticed, so I've got to figure it out, how to make it easy. Because I noticed the same problem in the bathroom. In the bathroom, you need a hand towel. And it's constantly jostling around. But this bathroom doesn't have one at all. So I need to make a hanging. Actually, you just need to get a round ring and screw it to the wall. But we don't want to make, I was going to say, we don't want to put holes in the wall very much. Command strips. She's got command strips, but I don't know if it would work for that. I forgot what that was. No, it was the ring. Instead of screwing into the wall, and she uses command strips, so I just don't think that would work. However, the command strip has a hook. Because the ones I've been seeing, what they did was they took old towels. They took old towels and they cut off that ribbon, that ribbing stuff where everything shrinks to. I know I'm not saying my best words, but you cut off the terry cloth material from that design that all towels have. Even the really nice towels have that stupid ribbing. So you got terry cloth, and then down here there's a row of like a ribbon or a tight thing. And it scrunches up and looks ridiculous. And here's a little tidbit for you people, if you've made it this far. How many of you out there, just saying, thinking in your head, you don't gotta give me a number, we buy something and it's got a label on it that says, do not remove. Something about the law. Okay, well, you know what that label's for, people. It's not for you, the consumer. Once you bought that thing and you took it home, if you want to rip that label off or cut that label off, you can. But you know how many people leave the label on and looks tacky? I mean, every single wash rag at Dad's house had all those labels on. It was driving me crazy. So you got this white tag hanging off the wash rag, and it's supposed to be a nice wash rag, right? So you got this tacky looking thing hanging off the wash rag, and not just tacky looking, but also worn out because the wash rag has been used and used and used. But we're afraid to take the tag off because that tag says, because of the law. I'd have to read it off of a thing. Same thing with your sheets. Anything you buy that's got a label on it that says you can't take that label off is talking to the person who's selling it, so that you know what it's made out of. And yeah, if you're going to give it to someone else, it'd be nice to know what it's made out of, nice to know what the size is, but those labels are irritating. So I'm glad they started putting the writing on the material instead of, and then I bought a t-shirt when we were on our way back, and it was over by Mount Rushmore, and it was that store that was off the side of the road, and first time I got to wear it was yesterday, because yesterday it was our day to go out, and she's joined a league at Little Bits, so we go over there on Tuesday. We were already going over on Tuesday, but anyway, so I pulled that shirt out because it's got long sleeves. I haven't had a need to wear long sleeves, you know, so. Anyway, my point is, the labels that were in the back, it almost said, I think it might have said, rip off. But anyway, you did. There was 2 labels, and I was able to take them and just rip them right off, lickety split. That was nice. Because usually labels, you gotta finagle. Or get the scissors to cut it with. So I need to figure out, I wonder what will happen if I do the fenbendazole, because that's a wormer too. I think I've done and wormed myself to pieces. And if that's what that is, it's coming out, it's a good thing that it's coming out. Just saying. I guess I should go. I don't seem to have a lot of good stuff to say. I don't really want to read. I do wish I had just some little verses that I could give you. And I know some, you know, like one of them was, I think it was Nephi. No, this is in the very beginning. When you open up the Book of Mormon, the very first book in the Book of Mormon is called Nephi. And what am I trying to tell you about Nephi? Oh, just wanted to give you a little, I think that the church uses it a lot, that the Lord will not give you something to do. He will not ask of you something to do that you're not able to do. And it's not just that you're not able to do it. He will provide the way for you to accomplish it. I don't know if I could find that. I want to say First Nephi. See, what comes to my mind is 7:13, but I really doubt that because that's not a scripture I really knew. But that would be interesting to go find out. We'll go to the Book of Mormon, go to Nephi, go to the very first chapter. So I don't know how I would have 7:13. See if 13 is anything. No. Okay, taking too long. Anyway, I gave you the gist of it. The thing was, they had to go and get those plates. They had to get the records to take with them. So I'm just wondering where that is. Give me a headache, try to figure it out. So I'm not gonna do it. He had a task to do. He had to get those records. They were evacuating. When I say evacuating, I'm talking about Lehi and his 4 sons. Lehi and his wife and 4 sons, and I don't know if there was anybody else. I don't think there was. They had children in the wilderness, but they were leaving. Because Lehi had been out preaching, repent, repent, you know, change your evil ways. And these people were tired of him, and they had plans to kill him. And so I believe it was probably an angel that let Lehi know that, hey, you got to leave. So they did. They made way and left. And they had riches that they left behind. I mean, when you are having to leave, you find that you don't have room to take very much. Gold and silver, I imagine, was pretty heavy. They were going to not just only go out and leave and be able to come back later and get it, you know, because I would say, okay, let's bury it. Let's make us a gold treasure map. But no, they're not coming back But they did have to come back because they had to go back and get those plates, those records. And they were the brass plates, and they were the history of, I guess, the God people. I can't say my right words, but the people that were tight with God from the time of Adam and Eve down kept those records, wrote in those books, so that their posterity would know all that stuff. That's what the scriptures are. But not just that, they're full of covenants. They're full of teachings. And just like in Nephi, okay, they had to go back and get the record because they're fixing to go across that big old ocean. They're going to start a whole new civilization, and they need those records because they're going to learn stuff out of it. They're going to teach their children out of it for years and years and years to come. Plus, they'll continue writing more records. So, the point is, they went back to try to get the records. And this guy named Laban was in charge of all that stuff. I don't know what his deal was, like what his job was, but his name was Laban, and he was in charge. And that's who they went to try to get the records. They asked for them, and they offered their riches, their gold and their silver, and whatever they had. They had a lot of stuff, I imagine. But they offered it all for the records. But Laban said, "Nuh-uh. I'll be taking everything you got, and I'll keep the records too." And probably we're about to, I said probably, I was going to say probably we're about to try and kill him. Because I know that there's a part where they're hiding the boys. Because the 4 boys came back. Lehi and his wife did not. So anyway, Nephi says that the Lord wouldn't tell him he had to do something without helping him, provide a way for him to do it. So, the boys don't want to go back. And I'm not sure, I got a feeling that Nephi went by himself. But he went back later, and what he found was Laban, drunker than a skunk. I don't know if that's proper words, but he was so drunk that he was just sprawled out. I mean, he couldn't have helped himself at all. And he had a sword, the sword of Laban. You've heard me talk about that before. Okay. Well, the Lord told Nephi to take that sword and cut off his head. He said that it was better. I mean, Nephi was saying, no way, but the Lord said it is better that one man die than a whole nation in unbelief. So maybe a whole nation die in unbelief. So I don't have my exact words, okay? So anyway, the point is, Nephi did take that sword and cut off his head and got the records. He also took his clothes off and put them on because he had to escape. And then as he's doing this, here comes somebody. And so he gave that man the opportunity to either, he says, you can come with us, but you'll have to swear an oath, that you're not going to betray us, basically. He said, either that or you're going to die. You can either agree to come with us, or I'm going to kill you. So, of course, he agreed. So that was another person that went, one of Laban's servants went with them. So then they leave, They've got the record, and I'm not sure if they went clear back to where, I don't know how far out they were when they came back, when they turned around and came back, okay? But they had to come back again because there was a family that had daughters. There was Ishmael and his wife, and they had 4 daughters, the same ages, basically. So there's your procreators. Anyway, that family went, and when they did get to the ocean, they did have to build a ship so that they could cross it. And I'm not sure exactly where they landed. So I think I was like shocked. It seems to me they landed in South America. I always thought they landed in America. I'm just really not sure. So I shouldn't say. That's why I'm not sure. Because the Jaredites landed, it seems like the Jaredites landed up here. But it seems to me that Lehi's people would have landed up here too. So nevertheless, I probably need to stop jabbering. It's been an hour. And maybe if you put little pieces together of what I've said, you'll get something good. If you do the ivermectin like I was showing you what I was doing, I would not do it as much as I did, okay? Because really, when you worm your animal, usually it's good for 6 months to a year. And I took a dose every day for 14 days. So I did overkill. And I'm just hoping I didn't hurt myself. You know, like it thinking I'm a big worm. Anyway, I think everything's cool. Everything's groovy. And I want to have my cancer numbers go way, way down. I want to stop taking these stupid injections. I shouldn't call them stupid, I guess, but I just hope I'm not stupid for taking them. But I think it's the IV. It's the IV that I had to drink all the liquid, and I wasn't getting enough liquid, and I still don't. I need to have like I've said it before, but I've never done it. Get a 2-liter bottle. A 2-liter bottle and fill it up with water and make sure you drink that, because that's 64 ounces. That's what I need to be drinking. And taking my pills. I gotta take those too. You guys take care. Spread a little love everywhere. Kindness. Everybody could use a little kindness. Especially older folks. And young folks. I mean, all of us could use a little kindness, but some more than others. Just be on the lookout. You know, not searching type of thing, but just be on the lookout. And if you see something that's not quite right, you know, or if there's just something you can help with at the spur of the moment. That's filling those lamps with oil. Remember I talked about that not long ago? The 10 virgins. How you fill your lamps with oil is with good deeds. Your character. How you choose to live your life. And we've seen movies before. Just like It's a Wonderful Life. How one life affects so many people. There's a ripple effect. So let's be doing good. And then, you know, those people that you smile. Smile and have eye contact. And then you'll find people are smiling back at you. And you will also find you have, I mean, I've seen them light up. You have brightened their day. And then they're going to, in turn, treat somebody else kind. They're going to have a happier day. So anyway, you guys take care. And I love you. Okay. Bye.